So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this second Q&A clinic for Substance Organization Referentials Management Services. My name is Caterina Scarpati. I am covering the change management activities for the SPOR and XCVMPD services. And today with me, I have several EMA colleagues who are here to answer any of your questions live on substances, organization, and referentials management services, which are part, as you may be aware, of the SPOR services delivered by EMA. So before we start, just a few housekeeping notes. Please note that this session is being recorded, as you can see, and we will make the recording available on the EMA corporate website and on EMA YouTube channel. During the session, you will use the interaction tool Slido to ask your questions. We remind you that the interaction via Slido is voluntary and you may opt to remain anonymous. If you choose to use Slido, of course, you consent to the processing of your personal data as explained in the EMA data privacy statement for Slido. So for Q&A, you can join at Slido with the code SOR Q&A1310, and you can go to slido.com and include the code. We remind you that you can insert your question live in Slido, but before adding your question, please check the questions that have already been asked, because the same question may you had intended to ask may already be there. And in that case, you can simply upvote the already existing question, and we will answer questions in order of upvote. So the most upvoted questions will get answered earlier. During the session, the colleagues will address live the questions on the following topics. So on OMS, RMS, SMS, and SPOR in general services. So this is the scope of this question. While just to remind you that for PMS and XCVMPD related questions, we have dedicated Q&A clinics, which I will illustrate in the next slide. So just a recap of upcoming Q&A clinics. So the next SOR Focus Q&A clinic will be on 10th of November, and the last one for this year will be on 15th of December. We also have monthly Q&A clinics for PMS and XCVMPD. The next ones will be actually tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, you can dial in for the next PMS Q&A clinic. You can find the registration details on the EMA event page. Same for XCVMPD, which will take place in the afternoon. Then we are pleased to announce that we will have the next SPOR and XCVMPD status update webinar on 28th of January 2026. So you will find the details to register soon on the dedicated EMA event page. Then, as we announced at the last SPOR status update webinar, which took place last week on the 8th of October, we have launched a new SPOR and XCVMPD satisfaction survey. This is a new format compared to the ones that we launched in previous years. Now the survey is available on Slido, and it will be conducted every 6 months and will just be unavailable for 1 month. So now we launched it on the 8th of October, and it will be available until the 8th of March. And we'll launch then the next one in April 2026 during the Q2 SPOR status update webinar. So if you want to join to answer the survey, you can either go to the dedicated Slido session, scanning this QR code, going on Slido and inserting the code SPOR-survey, or you can also retrieve the link on the SPOR webpage on the EMA website, or on the presentation from the last SPOR status update webinar, which took place on 8th of October. And you can find the presentation on the EMA event page. Okay, so after this recap of different SOR planned engagement activities, it's time to start with our Q&A. I see we have already some questions. I remind you that you can join at slido.com with SOR QA 1310 code, or you can simply scan the QR code that you can find on the slide here. Okay, so let's start, I would say. First question. Could you kindly provide a publication date for Chapter 2, Annex 3, Chapter 3, and the FAQs? So I'm not sure on which service they are referring to. Maybe some of the colleagues may be aware.
So I'm just here for support, and this is a PMS question, so it's not supposed to be on this Q&A session. So the chapter, I can reply, Chapter 3 and FAQ will be published later this week, hopefully. And then Chapter 2 and Annex 3, we still need to see, and Veronica should be able to reply, but she's not here, so yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So we recommend that you join for this specific question tomorrow's session at 11, which is a dedicated PMS Q&A clinic, as mentioned earlier. Thank you, Marcos. So, for example, in Germany, is there a special case where the MIA isn't issued by the B farm or the pay authority, but rather by federal states? These authorities aren't listed in OMS. Is it planned to include this in OMS as a reference for PMS?
So from the OMS side, I can tell you that we have some of these federal states included. I cannot answer to if we have all of them. I'm sure that we have a handful that are missing, but this is something that those federal state authorities need to come to us to register themselves. If there is any data that is required to be on OMS, a simple change request to us, and we'll be able to validate those entities that are required.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay, so regarding the webinar on EAF held on the 9th of October, the local contact person, according to OMS team, single persons cannot be included in OMS. But why is org a mandatory field in EAF if not all local contacts can have an org ID? Christina Pusari wanted to discuss it with OMS team. Any news about this issue?
No concrete news. I had an initial discussion with Christina about this matter. We're doing some internal investigation to understand how other systems are handling this type of information. But hopefully we'll come back to you with an answer to this question.
Thank you. The manufacturing activities support term manufacturer responsible for batch certification is defined only for the certification of finished medicinal product batches. What is the EMA recommendation for the value to be selected for other types of manufacturers, for example, active substance, ingredients?
Yes, I think this one is related to the manufacturing activity list in RMS. If so, then perhaps if the person could raise a ticket so that I can liaise with the inspections colleagues, because I think I will need more context for that one.
Okay, thank you, Jaume. I have submitted a request via ServiceNow ticket to have an RMS list export. How long does it take to have it with this new request form? It is already 1 working day and half past.
Yes. Okay. So this would be a request type of service. So as you can see in the SLA document, in the document on the documentation area of the portal, requests should be dealt between 5 to 10 working days. So that's the SLA for it. So please bear with us. You should get a reply soon.
Thank you. Regarding PMS confidentiality indicator criteria related to RMS manufacturer responsible for batch certification, could you please let us know if a confidentiality indicator value should apply to all other manufacturers? Jaume, I guess.
Again, for tomorrow, but the answer is yes.
For tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Could you please provide expected timelines or long-term plans for SMS cleansing waves?
So for the time being, we cannot provide longer-term plans. The priorities for next year have not yet been fully defined. So we are working on this, and we took note of the interest on the longer terms as well as the short-term ones. So stakeholders will be informed once these activities are planned. As previously presented, for the rest of this year, we will be cleansing the animal and homeopathic substances, and then based also on the resources that we have internally, we can better define the priorities for next year and for longer term.
Thank you, Mihaela. How should I proceed if the only manufacturer linked to a specific business operation has been discontinued and the related product is currently suspended? The dossier has not been updated and the manufacturer no longer exists in OMS.
So for this one, because the answer may vary depending on the system or the regulatory procedure using, this is remembered OMS, in this case, SPOR can answer any questions related on how we manage the data, any data quality attribute question, how the data is used by each consuming system. This is an answer that needs to be placed with either the procedure colleagues or the consuming system. So here, what I can tell you is, please address this question to the procedure that you have in question, so that they can guide you through the right process for this scenario.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 11 again.
The next question, right? This one, or
no? I believe
this.
If
if
it's related with PMS, tomorrow is one of the places. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Then next question: for the manufacturing activities, for the testing, is there a reason for the split per methodology?
Yeah, I think this is a question for the subject matter experts, which are our colleagues from inspections. So again, if I could please get this in the form of a service desk ticket, and I will follow up with colleagues.
Thank you. Yeah, then there's just maybe a remark on the sound, Deborah. So for next questions, you can check for the microphone. Then previously, NCAs with a translator role could add national translations in the RMS portal. This functionality seems to be no longer available. Could you clarify how NCAs can currently submit or manage national translations in RMS?
So indeed, this functionality is temporarily unavailable. So the way to go about this as of 1st of October is users should raise a ticket through Service Desk. They should select the RMS request service option in the portal, in the Service Desk portal, and then fill in the details. Basically, they need to specify what is the list that they need and the terms that they need, the language impacted, and then we will provide the user with a template that will contain all of the terms needed and the blank spaces for the NCAs to provide their translations. That should be sent back to EMA, and we will then upload it in the system. So indeed, we acknowledge the fact that this is not anymore a self-service functionality, but we, taking into account the issues that we've experienced in the past, we think that this process may, it may have several benefits. So this is basically the new process, and you should be able to find details on it in the A6 document that we mentioned in our previous webinar last week. In the documents area, you should have the screenshots and step-by-step instructions on how to do this.
Thank you. Is it going to remain like this, the system to request RMS list and OMS list export, or will it change to the previous one?
Maybe I can start, Deborah, if that's fine, I can start with RMS. So for exports, this is a bit different than for translations. For exports, we do understand that users may have need for frequent exports. So we are currently in the process of exploring how to address these exports. And one of the options that we are considering is for users to be able to get those without the need to log in. So this is currently under, we are exploring this possibility, and we will update you if there are any changes, probably in the January webinar, or perhaps before if there are any news on this.
Thank you. Deborah, you wanted to complement as well?
No, towards the end, Jaume concluded. That's it. So for the time being, we are receiving your comments. We acknowledge them. We understand there may be still some improvements to be done. For the time being, we remain with the current process, and at least in January, we'll come back to you with more information on the direction that we may take, hopefully.
Thank you. If a manufacturer presents an FDA-approved certificate, where can I find the corresponding certificate number, and which lock ID should I use for the submission?
Well, for this case, I can tell you that we know that FDA is not using our IDs or our data when they issue their certificates. There are other entities that are already using this on a mandatory basis, such as EDQM on SEP certificates and other GMVP. At the moment, this relationship does not exist, so you will have to look for the data manually.
Thank you. I have a certificate for a specific manufacturer that includes the name of the health authority, the certificate number, and the effective date. However, the HA is Japanese, and I cannot find this HA listed in the OMS. How should I proceed?
If you have an entity, an organization that needs to be registered in RMS, and it's not, a simple change request to us should suffice. But just remember, because here we're talking of an authority, there are supporting documentation that is mandatory. So probably we will need, because it's not a normal registration, we may need the headed letter from this Japanese entity to be able to add it into the portal. But anyone can submit a request to us as long as we can validate the information.
Thank you. For SMS, when will herbal preparations be cleansed?
Yes, this is similar to the previous one. So we are still discussing the best way forward, and we aim to communicate in January, but the work that has already been done on the herbal substances being cleansed and the plan we have for the rest of the year will help us also with the herbal preparation. So we will take this into consideration, and once the plan is well defined, we will communicate this. So we would aim for that to be in January next year.
Okay, thank you. First, can you please shed some light on why guest access to the SOR portal has been introduced, and when can we expect normal service to be assumed?
I think my camera is not coming up. I think I can take this one. So as I've explained in the SOR status update webinar, so we are exploring a few internal operational efficiencies. We had a few change requests that were being done in the SOR portal, a few change requests that we had to receive via service desk. And we had an opportunity to align and create everything in the service desk platform. So we're consolidating a series of services there. The most pragmatic approach was to put everything together, change requests, exports, translations, and everything. But we are now revising what's the next step forward. So this is not something of a glitch of one day. At least this quarter, this will be the status quo, but we are aware of the capabilities that are required, and we hope to have a plan and a solution very soon for the users. So the ultimate goal is here consolidating the services that we are providing in one platform, and many customers are already familiar with the service desk platform. You have user access. There's an interactive chat box that helps, a lot of knowledge-based articles. So that's actually the strategic platform that EMA is pursuing to improve the services. But as we are building this iteratively, we're taking a few steps at a time, and we will report it in January what's the next step forward.
Thank you, Isabel. So following up on the previous questions, which types of document we need for register the Japanese Health Authority?
Because this is a public entity, it's not an entity that we could find in the National Business Registry. So for these authorities, a simple headed letter, or if there is any official documentation, attach it to the headed letter so that we can validate. I would say here key elements probably would be the organization name, both in Japanese and in English character sets, the location detail that need to be added. And if there is any reference to an official website, please add also this information to the deck so that they can help us validate the registration.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. So we have a similar request as the Japan Health Authority. In China, is the local fifth bureau of some regional office acting in the name of a Chinese health authority. Can we enter it as the Chinese Health Authority?
Yes, exactly the same question. Anyone can propose, can submit a change request to create those entities if they are required to be registered in OMS, as long as you provide the required supporting documentation, we will be able to validate the data. And it's going to be the same thing for the next question. It's just for the Brazilian entity.
Perfect. Could you please clarify the exact process for submitting national translations to RMS via the EMA service desk? The A6 document does not contain instructions for translation requests.
Yes, so the users need to go to service desk portal. They need to select request RMS service, and then they need to specify in the ticket what is the list for which they would like to provide translations. They should specify, ideally in an attachment, the actual terms that they need, or perhaps if they need the full list, just specify that in the ticket. And also what are the languages impacted, so in which languages the translator would like to provide translations. That should be submitted as a service desk ticket, as mentioned. EMA will prepare the file. It will send it back to the user. The user should then populate the translations offline in that file. and then the user should send it back to EMA for upload in the system. I will review about the A6 document because I was convinced that translations were covered there. So I will review it and make sure that this is covered.
Thank you. So for FDA authorized manufacturers, what should I insert for MBO's enrichment?
It's not clear to me what this MBO's enrichment means. But in a nutshell, if it's to have those, if you need to have those manufacturers, those organizations registered in OMS for any regulatory procedure, just come to us. You need the organization name and the location details and supporting documentation to that show that manufacturer, that legal entity exists with, is registered with the local authorities.
Okay. Thank you. Could you please clarify why the health authority in Luxembourg, so the Ministry of Health and Social Security, location is inactive in OMS, but is mentioned in the HMA website as a current national contact?
At the moment, I cannot. But if you raise a question using service desk, we will look into it and try to investigate why this location is inactivated.
Thank you. Can you further elaborate to the EAF PDF dependencies that delayed the publishing of Chapter 3? If yes, are these structure changes that industry needs to action?
So this is for tomorrow as well. It's PMS, but those dependencies are already, the work has been done. There's no impact for industry. So you can go and use all the manufacturing activities and everything. So no impact. It was just an internal dependency.
Thank you. Will EMA plan to add manufacturer IDs for cross-reference between SPOR OMS and PMS?
I'm not sure if it's for OMS. I don't think it's for OMS. Add manufacturer's ID. Probably, Marcos, do you have anything planned?
I don't understand the question, sorry, because we are already showing the IDs and the loc IDs. So I don't really, I mean, maybe a bit of more explanation would be helpful to understand what you mean with the manufacturer IDs.
Okay. Yeah, so if you can elaborate, please. So to elaborate, the loc IDs are the only identifier, plant, or any others? So are there any other identifiers?
Yeah, I can reply maybe. So it's only the loc ID, because with the loc ID, you can also define which is the org ID. In fact, in the BI reports, you can find in some of them both of the IDs, but then there are no other IDs for the manufacturers. The other IDs are technical IDs for the fire, and those are not going to be exposed because they don't make any sense to link them to OMS. It depends on the product. So yeah, it's only loc ID and org ID.
And it's only under PMS.
Thank you. So I hope this clarifies. Could you please update on the SVG flag cleansing? Do we need to start replacing substances which have SVG flag 0 with SVG flag 1? So Michaela, I guess this is for you.
This is still ongoing, and we always recommend that SVG flag 0 is not used. So try as much as possible when you're updating your products to use, for instance, substances to replace them instead of those that have flag 0 to use those that have flag 1. So those that have no flag, they are still ongoing, and we will cleanse them. So far, we have already accomplished a milestone of doing more than 50% of the substances, but there's still a big number left to be cleansed. So for those, there will be revisions, but for those already marked as flags 1, they can be used in products, and we recommend that they are used especially instead of those with flag 0.
Thank you, Mihaela. How should we go about correcting the name of the active substance for one of 4 products, or for one of our products, sorry?
So if you mean selecting another substance, then you would be updating within the product record. You remove the current substance and then select the correct one, the correct EV code for it, and then update the product. So it would be part of that. If you mean to change the name, a name within a substance record, then that would be through a change request in service desk. So for that, we will then analyze if there are any needs for the substance name to be updated, or if another substance record can be used instead, and we will tell you which one can be used, or if a new record needs to be indeed created. So depending on what you mean with this, if you mean in terms of correcting one record, or if you mean how to replace it within the product record. But I think they are both covered now.
Okay, thank you. Is the initial MA 3.2.P.3.1 and 3.2.S.2.1 are resources for manufacturing business operations correct?
Please come on the tomorrow meeting, please.
Okay. If a manufacturer has a name change, how can industry manage this? Is it usual OMS requests change, or a different process may be introduced for PMS UI API? Is this still for tomorrow, or?
It's a bit of a mix, I would say.
Okay, so maybe you can have a joint answer.
I can provide some information, and also maybe Deborah can help. So I think on OMS, you need to change the name because OMS should have the most updated information. Correct me if I'm wrong, Deborah, but if there is a change name on a company, then you need to go to OMS and, I don't know how, request the name change.
Yeah, I can complement on that. So now with the new process, what you need to do, if there is a name change happening to a certain legal entity, you go to service now, you use the OMS change request form, and you just let us know about this change.
Okay, so then the name will be updated in OMS, but that doesn't mean that your name, the name of the manufacturer or the MA holder is changed on, let's say, your legal documents. You need to submit a variation, and depending on which type of change, it might be a type 1A variation, or it might be a different type of variation. You need to provide your ECTD sequence, you need to provide your supporting documents with the EAF, etc. Now, how this data is going to be reflected in PMS, that's a bit of a different story. We are working together with IRIS and with other systems at the EMA. So, for example, inspections, PSURs, different teams, because the way IRIS is managing the updates in OMS is not the proper way. So some of the updates on those names are not coming into PMS or the consuming systems like, the product UI inspections, etc. So there are some internal discussions on how this should be handled. For the moment, the fact that the latest name on the manufacturer is not there is not a problem. It will not block any regulatory process or anything. And if the problem is on the MA holder that can block like variations or some procedures, we are managing case by case and we are performing the update. So in case you see issues on the name of your MA holder, then you can raise a ticket. We will manage them. If it's on the manufacturer and you see a slightly different version, or the version of the name is not the latest one, it's not going to be a huge problem, and we might not have the capacity to manage this. But we are internally discussing how to implement this process.
Thank you. So once the industry has completed enriching manufacturing business operation information, will EMA verify this information, and how will this evaluation be received? In what format?
Tomorrow at 11.
Okay. For a combination pack with 2 vials that are also administered separately, how should we consider the combination? Probably SMS.
I mean, from the RMS point of view, I was checking the EDQM's definition. They confirm that combination pack is basically 2 forms that are packaged together, but they are administered separately. So that would definitely be the right list. Now, I'm not too sure what they mean by how we should consider this combination. I don't know if this means how to report this in the application form. Maybe if the user could provide more information, please, so that we can further understand.
EMA has deactivated one of our company addresses with related lock IDs in OMS. The deactivated lock ID is our GMP relevant manufacturer address referenced in MIA and GMP certificate. As the correct manufacturer lock ID is deactivated in OMS, we cannot include it in PMS as NAPS data. What to do?
Here I can enlighten a little bit on the OMS side, but then I'll need Marcos to complement the answer. So the deactivation from the OMS side, it can happen for 2 main reasons. Either the location is no longer valid, or in some cases, and I'm assuming this is what's happening here, because of the duplicity of the existence of door numbers in 2 different the existence of the same number in 2 different lock IDs. But my understanding is that even deactivated locations are available to be used in PMS. Is this not correct, Marcos?
So I would like to know, where have you found this information that inactive terms cannot be used? Because I have also received a couple of tickets that, this term is non-current or inactivated, I cannot use it. They can be used in PMS. So you will find them in the user interface. If you are using the API, you can also submit them. It is actually stated that invalid terms can be used, at least for the moment. In the future, we don't know, but for the moment, it was a requirement from our SMEs, and we allow this type of terms to be used. So, yeah, I'm a bit concerned why there's people, maybe it's somewhere is saying that they cannot be used, and we need to correct it. So they can be used. You can use those terms in PMS.
Thank you. Okay, we have another last question. EMA OMS support told us the manufacturer address is a duplicate of a legal address and can therefore not be reactivated. But the activated address is not available in PMS, as we can see.
I think this is what we discussed in a previous question. If you could, I don't know, probably via ticket, if you could provide evidence about this, because then PMS colleagues can look into it. because it's not supposed to behave that way.
Thank you. Okay, we have two questions. Previously, substances were available, for example, ethanol 15%, 30%, 96%, etc. Now only ethanol is available in SMS. This means that the composition can often no longer be displayed as in the composition in the dossier. Is this discrepancy intentional?
I think for this one, it will be Pedro when he's back to give more in-depth information.
Yes.
But we'll take note of it.
Yes, our other SMS colleague is not available today, but he will be available also for the next Q&A clinic, so taking place next month. But yeah, we will already take note of this question.
Otherwise, in the meantime, it can also be raised via a ticket as a question, so then it can be addressed there specifically. So you don't need to wait for long times. Other than the change request, we also have the questions via service desk.
Yeah, indeed, you can use the Ask QMA service, definitely. Concerning the advertisements, okay, they can be disabled by the publisher. Okay, we'll try to make an additional interaction with our audiovisual team. Yeah, because I'm not sure if we can, in our case, we can remove them completely. Probably we can reduce them, but yeah, we will definitely make a second check. Okay, thank you. Okay, the question on ethanol was already raised as a service now ticket, but there was no answer yet. Okay, I imagine probably colleagues are working on that, but yeah, maybe Mihaela, we can have a look.
Yeah, indeed, the questions do have a longer timeline to respond, so for change request is faster, but we will look for it and try to expedite.
Thank you. Okay, so there's a comment on this question, but yes, that we will answer via the service desk. Thank you. Okay, so it was a solution. Okay, thank you. Okay, so our time is over for today. Thank you very much for joining, for your questions. Hope that the colleagues clarified your doubts where needed. And as mentioned, see you in the next SPOR and XCV and PD engagement opportunities. Have a nice day.